Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm happy to be with you today. I have another thought to share with you from the book of Joshua, and this time from the third chapter. Let me read the first 5 verses. Early the next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites left Acacia Grove and arrived at the banks of the Jordan River, where they camped before crossing. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. When you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out your positions and follow them. Since you've never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about a half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the Ark. Make sure you don't come any closer. Then Joshua told the people, purify yourselves for tomorrow, for the Lord will do great wonders among you. Well, this is the story of the Hebrews beginning to enter the promised land. Now, this was a traumatic time in the history of Israel, but it was a joyful time too, because now they're finally going to get into the place where God said he was going to send them. Now, think about that for a minute. Have you ever wondered what God's doing in your life, or what God wants you to do with your life? And when you finally begin a definite step in that direction, that's an exciting time. Oh, we get impatient. I have a friend of mine who's going to school for a particular job. I have a hard time holding him back because he wants to just do the job. And I've explained to him several times, look, right now you're being trained. You are doing something. It's not that you're just wasting time. You're getting prepared in order to do what you need to do for the rest of your life. Now, think about this. If you want to go to medical school and become a physician, you got to do 4 years of college. Sometimes you get by with 3. You got to do 4 years of medical school. You got to do 1 year of an internship. You got to do 2 to 4 years of a residency. So that gets you 4, 5, 9, 13 years after high school before you can set up shop, hang your shingle out, and say, here I am. It takes a lot of patience to wait that long. And then if you want to be a real technical specialist, like a heart surgeon or hand surgeon or something to that effect, you got to go more years after that, as many as 5 more years. You see, when we realize we're making a step in the direction that God wants us to do, that's an exciting time. And I hope in your life you have experienced that, because God does have a plan for your life, and that plan includes getting ready to go. So I hope you've experienced that. But let's move on a little bit, because he says now, Joshua says, now, since you don't know where you're going, boy, that sounds familiar to me. When I look back in my life, I had no clue what I was doing or where I was going. And if you could tell me now that I could go back and start over, knowing all the things that were going to happen, I would have to say, there's no chance. See, God doesn't give us the end point when we start. He just gives us the starting point. In order to get to the end point, you got to start. Too many people never start and then complain because they didn't get to where they wanted to go. So here it says that we're going to start, and God's going to give you directions. Going to follow something. In this case, follow the ark. Now, Joshua's real careful, so don't get too close to it, because the ark could only be approached by certain people at certain times. And if you touched the ark, you would die. So he's saying God's going to guide you, but you got to have a respectful distance there. Now, this is Old Testament before Jesus comes in and changes the rules a little bit, but we'll stay with this one. So he says, now, get yourself ready. Here's the key point. Get yourself ready, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among you. You see, when we have a journey with God, first thing we have to do is get started. Second thing we have to do is follow his leading. And the third thing we have to do is get ready to see wonders. You know, I've talked to many people over the years. Many of them have never seen God. They haven't seen him act. They haven't seen him at work. He's just a mythical figure up who lives up there somewhere. But God is much, much, much more than that. And we can see his hands at work. We can see him doing things that otherwise were impossible. And I've seen many, many instances of that. But you have to get prepared for it. And you have to expect to see it. See, Joshua's saying, look, this is going to happen. Get prepared. Cleanse yourself in this case. If we're not expecting to see anything from God, guess what we're going to see? Yep, nothing. If you're not expecting for God to guide you, you may think he's not there. If you're not excited to be on a journey with God, you may never know how he's touched you over the years. Everything depends on your mindset. Now, I know someone's going to say, oh, but God is sovereign. He can do whatever he wants. That's true. I understand that. But for you to be able to understand and discern what's God doing today, well, you gotta be ready to go. You gotta be expecting guidance. And you gotta look for what he's doing. That's a simple, if you will, simple pattern to see God. And I hope today you'll see him. I hope you'll look for him. Because if you do, you'll find him. Well, think about that. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. If there's anything we can do to help out, just give us a call. We'll do whatever we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your needs. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow, and I will share another story from the book of Joshua.